My daughter pictured here on the beach with my wife on week 12 of lockdown. She says one thing when someone's unkind to her: that's kind hands, kind voices. And I think we should extend that to our brand and our business and how we behave. Socials became really binary. You're in or you're out, you're red or you're blue, you're obeying lockdown or you're not. It's become a shaming culture versus what should be a celebratory one, in turn for a click or a view or an engagement or a meaningless KPI. Today on Twitter, we see hordes of people around Primark. I don't mean the customers, I mean the people criticizing the people going to the shop, and it's just wrong. It's got to the point where brands are being nasty to other brands and being horrible to celebrities. And this isn't a new normal. This is people and behavior being unpredictable, because life is unpredictable right now and we're all having a different experience. My one being that my daughter's going to be off school for 6 months and I've got to entertain her every day of the week, which is really challenging. But our customers out there are having the same thing. How we view brands and advertising is so important that we reflect this. Everyone's had a different experience, some of us positive, some of us negative. That doesn't mean that we've got to be horrible. It means that we can go out there and be really positive. It means we can go out there from a positive environmental point, how we talk and how we serve our customer, by being kind and being nice and spreading the love. I don't think we need to talk about hustle and wanging on about stuff on LinkedIn. I think we can be doing some great work right now, and that's what I think every brand should be doing.
Ollie, absolutely perfect. He's bang in time. No horn for you. So lots of questions again coming in as usual. We'll start with this. It might be a bit controversial, but I'm sure you'll be okay. Andy says, you talk about your children. Do you think influencers have an unhealthy grip on children?
I don't think you can put everyone under that umbrella. I think it's difficult to be so broad brush. I think we're all influenced. I grew up, a shame you can tell by my terrible dress sense, but I was influenced by New Kids on the Block, right? Because that was one of the first albums I ever bought. I mean, I'll admit it, you know, they influenced me. We all have had influences and influences around us. I heard KSI speaking last week, who was really interesting actually. And he was talking specifically to Louis Theroux. And he said, you know, you put out some quite harsh content and some quite colourful language. And he says, it's not for kids. It's not my problem if your kids are watching it. They shouldn't be. And I think it's quite interesting to see some of those guys take control of that conversation and say, I don't want to make stuff for your children anymore.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, there's a question here from Julia Smith. Julia, it's lovely getting questions from you virtually, as in the real world. But she asks, firstly, loved your positivity, and you're spot on. Secondly, have any brands stood out for you?
Yeah, there's a brand called Painter, Payntter. They just do jackets, run by a wonderful couple, Hugh and Becky. I really recommend checking them out. They've done some stuff for the NHS, but they've also done some really good messaging. And I think it's really interesting to see new brands and new companies doing that really well. There's quite a few people out there doing stuff. Heckles, for example, skincare company based down in Margate, I think have done a great job. So yeah, there's lots going on out there. But I do think it's the smaller brands that are being more agile, with less bureaucracy, that are doing a good job.
Great. Question from Elizabeth. Again, she loved the presentation. She says, are there any financial rewards for a brand acting in a kind way?
Oh dear, I don't know. I think you should go to bed and sleep well, knowing that you've done a good job and you've done something well. And I think the reward might not be in your share price, but it'll be in the fact that your business will be here in 20 years' time.
Lovely sentiment. Jessica asks, how have Mahabis been kind to their customers? It's a good question. During lockdown. P.S. I bought mine on week 1 of lockdown. I love them.
Thank you. Well, actually, what we found is people, because they've had more time at home and more time in front of the computer, they're clicking the tracking link when they buy something online more often, because they've got a bit more time and they're kind of waiting for something. And people are becoming politely, kind of almost, when it says 24 hours, they want it there in 23. So I think we've had to really change sometimes the tone of language we use when responding to customers, because everyone is at home and behaving slightly differently. So we've had to be slightly more friendly with our customers as well. And sometimes that means picking up the phone and having a conversation with them rather than through chat or messenger comes across much easier. And yeah, hopefully we've been able to make sure people got their presents for Mother's Day in March and April and May in the US, and Father's Day this weekend as well.
Excellent. Question from Kelechi. She or he says, I agree with kindness first, but what do you think of the lack of awareness that some brands seem to have that I think is important to kindness and social? Important to kindness. General lack of awareness.
Oh, what do you mean, like lack of awareness in terms of people knowing about the brand?
Yeah, I think so.
I just think like people want to buy from businesses that are doing good and behaving well. And I think really what we've seen is people's behavior come out more and more. And I don't know how you can hack that for awareness or play with that. But I think when people get under the bonnet of your business and they start to see how you operate, I do think it resonates in every kind of communication that you send out.
Ollie, thank you so much. Great presentation and great answers. Thanks for joining us.